Namaste and welcome to Yoga for Amputees Yoga Hacks, Plantar Fascitis. You know, if you are an above or below knee leg amputee with one leg missing, one of the things that can happen with your remaining foot is something called plantar fasciitis. The fascia is the connective tissue around your muscles, and when that gets injured, inflamed, or tight, it can be really painful to step on your right or left foot, depending on which leg is missing. And usually starts in the lowest portion of the heel and sometimes travels all the way up through the foot. And it will move around in different locations. Now, normally when we think of a problem with the foot, we want to go to the foot to release the pain. But actually, often, plantar fasciitis is a response to something else in the body, usually higher up around the hips or the calves. The other thing is that you want to ask yourself if your shoes are actually giving you the support you need, and if your gait is working well for you. Sometimes as amputees, we develop habits like stepping off to the side a little bit or rolling to the outer edge of the foot or the inner edge of the foot, which can then torque the knee and the hip. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a simple practice that involves some breathing, meditation, some movements, and then we're going to use some yoga tools to help you. The first yoga tool is a yoga strap. You can use a bathrobe strap instead. And then I have these balls that I use. They're firm balls. I'm just going to use one. And what's really important is you get one that's full, right? You don't want a tennis ball because a tennis ball has air in the middle and you need this firmness to release tension. Another option, which does have air in the middle, but it can be a little gentler, is something around this size that provides a little give, all right? So let's begin. Close your eyes if that's safe and comfortable for you to do so, or relax your eyes to look down towards the ground. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. And feel the lower body begin to settle down into the floor, and the upper body begin to lighten up and lengthen. Allow the throat to be open and the back of the neck to be long. Drop the weight of the tailbone down and feel your spine stacking up. Keep the mouth closed if possible and breathe in and out through the nose. Encourage your exhalation to be a little bit longer than your inhalation. If it helps, you can count. And if you're working with hands, place them over your heart and take a moment to connect to what we call our inner wisdom, our inner intuition. And ask your body if there could be a reason why you have plantar fasciitis. If nothing comes to you, don't worry about it, but that's definitely a question you can ask yourself, and often you'll get an answer. I know for me, I had it this summer, and it was really because I was walking the dog with ballet flats on, which were causing all sorts of issues for somebody like me with a really high arch. So, to get us started, we're just going to do a couple of little circles around and start to massage the glutes a little bit, rocking back and forth and circling around. And coordinate your breath with your movement, breathing in forward and breathing out back. And then pause and go the other direction. Great. Lean back, if you can, leaning on your hands, and extend your legs out in front of you. And I'm just going to invite you to have your prosthesis on for this exercise, if you can. If you need extra support, such as a lower back rounding, you can take a folded blanket and place it underneath your bottom and sit on it so that your hips are rolled forward. Or sometimes I like to put a little folded blanket underneath my prosthetic leg so I'm not overextending it. I have a tendency to hyperextend. What we're going to do is we're going to take our strap, and you want to take the strap and place it around the ball of the foot. Okay, so I'm just going to lean back a little bit here, and you'll notice that from the side that the ball of the foot is flexed with the toes turning back, and that's what you want. And what you're going to do is you're going to flex the foot and then begin to point. This is for the foot with plantar fasciitis, okay? And this may hurt. So you just go to your intelligent edge. You don't want to push beyond it because you can actually re-injure yourself and re-inflame what's already inflamed. But you do want to get some action and movement in that foot. Okay, so I'm just going to show you a few tricks, but I encourage you to do this for a good 5 minutes. Okay, just going back and forth. This is going to start to open up the hamstrings. And just to keep balance, even though you don't have a foot to work with on the other side, still try to resist into the strap, feel extension in the other leg. Okay, so you're balancing everything out. Next little trick is to take perhaps the softer ball, roll over to one side, preferably the side where you have plantar fasciitis, and you're going to place that ball underneath your bottom, come up, lift up, and just kind of roll around and start to release. You never want the ball to be directly on your tailbone, but you can kind of scoop back and forth. And you'll feel some places often that are pretty sore. And again, that's just releasing. And if you find a place that's particularly tender, pause, breathe, and surrender into it. Just allow that connective tissue to reacclimate itself to the strong sensation and use your breath. I also recommend rolling onto the side so you can go right onto this, not directly into the hip bone, but really more on the side of the hip where you still have your glute there, and roll around a little bit, and that should help quite a bit. And then make sure you do the other side. Okay, so I'm not going to do that now. This is just a little trick. And then try to flex your foot again to see what's going on. Okay, you might notice that there's just a little tiny bit less tenderness. Finally, another little trick. This is the little firm ball, and you're going to find these places on the calf that are really sore and tender. So they correspond to different acupressure points, and the trick is for you to just allow yourself to release into the ball and stay there for a while. So I'm just going to roll the ball around here, extend my leg, and my foot can be relaxed here, and I'm going to find that place higher up towards the knee where it's kind of not so comfortable, okay? And I found it, and I'm just going to stay here. Now, I stay as long as I want until the pressure and the discomfort almost gets a little to be too much, and then I roll the ball down a little bit farther to find another tender spot. But if you want to really get into this, you can actually take your hands and press down even more firmly, or take your prosthetic foot, hold on, and press down. That can be a little uncomfortable with the foot itself just because of the materials that it's made of. Or you could just allow yourself to hang out here and let these acupressure points begin to release. So there's 3 usually that can be quite tender. One here is L5, and then over here to the side L4, and then a little further down L3. So you just kind of roll around and find, so L is for liver, or is it lung? I think it's lung. Yes, it's lung. Okay, so lung is just a meridian that has to do with particular organs in the body, not just the lung. All right, so you'll find another spot perhaps, and you just hang out there, relax, breathe, feel the strong sensations, right? And wait. And you do this as long as you can, all right? Now, once you've done that for a while, try to circle that foot around, flex and point, stand up, stand on that foot, take a few steps. You'll probably notice that the foot feels a little teeny tiny bit less tender. All right, so this is a practice you do every day, sometimes multiple times a day, to keep releasing that calf. So these are just a few of the tricks you can do. Now, to come into some asana yoga poses, there's a couple that are really, really helpful. So the first one I'm going to show you is something that may or may not work for you. I'm going to take my blanket and roll it way up like a roll here, okay? And I'm actually doing that because what I'm going to be doing is sitting on curled toes of this foot. The other leg is going to be extended out because, of course, I don't bend my knee, but you might. Probably not, though, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm sitting on top of this rolled up towel, and I am actually also sitting on this curled up toe. See, this is uncurled, and this is curled, all right? And I'm just going to sit up and breathe and wait. Now, if you feel any discomfort in your knee at all, this pose is not for you, and I'll show you something else. You want to stay here again for a good 10 to 15 breaths. You want to breathe with the strong sensations, never to the point of trying to re-injure yourself, but definitely to the point where you feel like you're getting somewhere. All right? Now, if this is not working for you because of your knee, you can go into a lunge. And I'm just going to scoot my left leg forward. And you can always put a blanket or pillow underneath your leg here, your knee. And I'm going to rock back and forth, and I'm going to keep the back toes of the foot with plantar fasciitis curled under. And I'm going to rock back and forth. Okay? And then eventually I come up and I just allow those back toes to curl under. Now, if you have issues with your knee, you can come all the way up with a low lunge, keeping the back knee slightly bent and extending through the toes, keeping the toes curled under. If it's hard to balance, you can do your lunge the other way, taking your back foot to a wall and resisting your heel into a wall, or putting the ball, the smaller ball, back at the heel. Okay, so that would look a little tricky in terms of balance. Let me move this up. So I would take the ball and put it behind my heel here, okay? And place the ball at the wall and work on resisting the ball into my heel and the heel resisting into the ball. If that's too much, you can always do a rolled blanket. And again, you want to do both sides, making sure everything is balanced. Two more poses you can do to help. One is Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. When here, depending on the flexibility of your ankle and also the shape of your ankle and how it hits the bone, you can just go back and forth, keeping the knees a little bit soft, again, so you're not hyperextending. And again, you can do the same thing that you did with your lunge, pressing into the wall and getting resistance into the foot. Finally, you can come into standing forward bend. Now, not to do this if you have high blood pressure. So if you have high blood pressure, you're never going to have your head below your heart, okay? You're going to keep your head above your heart,
like so. Okay, drawing the abdominals in. But otherwise, fold forward and begin to rock back and forth on the feet. And you want to breathe with this because the sensations will be very strong, right? But it helps to open up the whole back of the leg. And remember, plantar fasciitis often starts in tension and congestion in the pelvis and the glutes. Finally, you can come to standing. Let's cut it.
Finally, you can come to standing in mountain pose, either with the palms to the heart if you have hands to work with or one hand to work with, or the arms by the side, and rock back and forth. Find that place where you feel like you're getting the most extension and the most solid foundation. Spread each toe on the foot with plantar fasciitis and place the toes down from the pinky to the big toe. And notice how you're standing. So, for example, if you're rolled way over to your foot, I'm exaggerating here, you want to think about bringing everything in and perhaps bending your prosthetic leg or your non-prosthetic leg if the hips are a little uneven. You can also stand on the edge of a rolled up yoga mat like this to get more even legs, like so. Or if you want to challenge your balance and do a little bit more extension through the heel, but again, no hyperextension. That's going to hurt things more than help. And there you go. Simple tricks to help with plantar fasciitis. It's a practice and it takes time. Remember to rest your foot as much as you can. Try to put some ice on it. And you can also look into alternative remedies online, or if you have any books on it. Otherwise, take good care of your foot and make sure that you give it the attention that it needs. The attention it needs is to help your body get more balanced and harmonious in the center and work from there. Hari Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.